Have you ever felt inadequate? The fear of inadequacy is a state of mind in which you think that your best is simply not good enough. Usually, it originates in childhood when our parents, our teachers, our coaches, or others that we consider to be important to us failed to appreciate and affirm us or compared us negatively to someone else. You will see it from Moses, who felt inadequate to be the spokesman and the liberator for the Israelites. After God appears to Moses in the burning bush in Exodus chapter 3, and he says in verse 10, "So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Moses starts making excuses. In verse 11 we read, "But Moses said to God, 'Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?'" In verse 13, Moses said to God, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and I say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you.' And they ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what shall I tell them?" In chapter 4, verse 1, Moses answered God that what if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, "The Lord didn't appear to you"? And in verse 10, Moses said to the Lord, "Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past, nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." Yet each time, God has an answer for Moses, and he lets him know that God is in charge. But then in verse 13 we read, "But Moses said, 'Pardon your servant, Lord. Please send somebody else.'" That is feeling inadequate. Now, you may also see this in athletes who exert themselves to attain physical and professional perfection. Take a look at Tom Brady, perhaps the greatest quarterback to ever play in the NFL. Brady was driven partially by the fact that he was overlooked out of college, and he wasn't drafted until the 6th round of the 2000 NFL draft. He was the 199th player selected that year, and he was drafted after quarterbacks Chad Pennington, Giovanni Carmazzi, Chris Redman, T. Martin, Mark Bulger, and Spurgeon Wynn. I don't think any of those guys are going to end up in the Hall of Fame. Tom Brady was driven by the fact that so many doubted him, and he simply used that as motivation to outwork all those who were chosen before him. You know, there are no statistics that can measure the number of abandoned dreams due to what is for many, but fortunately not Moses or Tom Brady, a paralyzing emotion. In order to rid ourselves of feelings of inadequacy, we must learn to embrace these two truths. Truth number one, apart from God, we are inadequate. But truth number two, infused with God's strength, we are adequate to any challenge that he calls us to face. Paul writes in 2 Corinthians verses 5 and 6, "Not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. He has made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life." Our competence and our abilities come from God. Now, many of the heroes in the Bible struggled with the fear of inadequacy. So, we're in good company. You can take a look at the lives of Gideon, Jeremiah, the Roman centurion, the woman who touched the garment of Jesus, or the Samaritan woman at the well, as well as many others. Yet they, like Moses, went from "Who am I? Send somebody else," to victory with God. The real story of these Bible heroes is that they overcame their fear and said yes to God. They stepped out in faith and said, in essence, "Lord, I am depending on you for my success." Our human ego likes to look good and to claim the credit. But God puts us into a position of forced dependence so that the credit for our success can only go to Him. So when you feel inadequate, remember to say yes to God, because His strength is perfect to carry us through. Pastor Allen will have more to say on the subject of when you feel inadequate tomorrow morning on our Facebook page at the Village Church at World Golf Village. Now, I want to take a minute to thank all of you who brought cars to our car wash on Saturday. 5 members of the Costa Rica mission team raised $727 toward their trip, and they are extremely grateful for your help as they prepare to leave on June 3rd on their mission trip. So thank you for supporting them on Saturday. And for now, all I got to say is have a great week, and I will see you on Friday with more from the Word for You today. Have a great day.